Girl, one day you're gonna have a studio that's all gonna be already set up and you're just gonna wake up in the morning, sit there, do your thing.
I am really excited to talk to you today because we've talked before.
Yes.
About your sitch.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're usually very reserved.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that I had no idea. When I had come in to get my hair done by you and you started sharing with me a little bit about your struggles, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Can you say the name of it and then the definition, basically?
God, the definition of trichotillomania. I have trichotillomania, which is a disorder where you pull your hair out.
Tell me briefly, before trichotillomania, what your childhood was like.
So my childhood when I was really, really young was awesome. I had an amazing mom, amazing dad, 5 siblings.
Whoa!
Yeah, crazy house. It was lots of fun. We didn't have much. We were very, very poor. My dad was in ministry. My mom was. She homeschooled all 5 of us. When I think of childhood, it was just magical. We had nothing, but I didn't know we didn't have anything because my dad and my mom just, love was all over our house. Just an awesome mom and dad. My dad was always like bringing homeless people in our house, feeding them. He had, he started like 9 ministries and
what?
Yeah, we never made a penny on one of them. Everything he did was all volunteer, sacrificial. You know, my mom probably would not have preferred that so much. She was kind of like, we got bills to pay.
Right.
But yeah, we were just always so happy. And like, I remember my dad was just all about love, loving people, loving God, and really raised us to not see anything other than like just who people are. Yeah, so that was awesome. That little bubble got shattered when my dad died when I was 8. Kind of out of nowhere. He died of a heart attack. I just remember I went to bed and I woke up and there were all these strangers in my house. Everybody was crying and I went into my mom's room and she was like laying in bed and I couldn't understand really what was going on. And then like my oldest brother, he just picked me up and kind of told me, you know, that Dad died, that he wasn't here anymore.
Were you able to process that? Like, what did that mean to you?
I don't think I fully got it. I remember feeling really sad that my mom was really sad. I just remembered like, I felt so sad she was so sad. The funeral, I remember like seeing him in the casket. It was an open casket. And I can remember his face still looked like he was smiling. And I remember climbing up and kissing him. So many people came to his funeral, like so many people. I didn't realize how many lives he touched. It was an amazing funeral. If a funeral can be amazing, my dad had an amazing one. Life after. I remember we'd cry a lot and like, I kept looking for him. I kept going to the window and I thought his car was supposed to pull in. So like, I just remember that, like always looking for him. That's when life really started to change a lot for me. I remember just at 13 life feeling like extra confusing. I was waking up and I would see hair like on the pillow next to me. And I'd be like, what the hell like is happening? At first I thought maybe I was losing hair or something. And then I remembered noticing that I was like this, like my hand was like up here. And I was like, what am I doing? And then I realized I was pulling my hair. It originated sleeping. But it definitely progressed to more like when I was awake, but so unconscious, like this very unconscious level where I didn't realize I was doing it until I would see the hair and then be like, what the heck am I doing? And then try to stop, but not understand why I would start again and then stop. And it was this like, I just was so confused and I was terrified to tell my mom. I just felt like she wouldn't understand or get it. And I had really, really long, thick, curly hair. So I would just flip my part all these different ways. Like if I'd get a spot over here, if I'd have a spot here, like I would just kind of flip my hair to try to hide it.
How often were you doing it?
Every day.
When you were awake and you were conscious,
Yeah.
was there something that triggered it that looked?
No. I mean, I just would be doing it. If I was reading a book, my mind would get so wrapped in a book that was when it was easy for me to pull.
I wonder, I bite my nails like crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
people are like, stop biting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Oh.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm biting my nail. And I know that Trich being in a body-focused repetitive disorder, I know that they say nail biting is a body-focused repetitive disorder. It's another form. And it was just this like intense thing that I couldn't stop no matter how hard I was like trying. I never liked being a burden, and I definitely internalized most of how I felt. I would write in journals all the time. So there was just this thing where I'm like, you're doing it to yourself. Like, stop. Like, why can't you stop? So the shame that I was doing it and I was self-inflicting it was tough. I was 15 when my mom finally noticed, and the wind blew, and she just kind of looked at me and she was like, Hannah, what is that? And she like touched the spot. She's like, did you like shave your head right there? And I was like, stop, you know, like trying to pull away from her. And then I finally just told her. I was like, look, I'm pulling my hair out and I don't get this. Then my mom, of course, you know, freaked out a little bit. Like she didn't understand. So the first thing she did, of course, was make appointments for me to see doctors and psychiatrists. And none of them ever gave us a name for it. They never told us what it was.
Really?
None of them, not a single one.
So just to clarify though, for anybody who's wondering,
yes,
it's not a self-harm situation.
No, this is not a self-harm situation at all. It very much subconscious. It's like air. Like I would always try to explain to people, it for me was like breathing. It was that natural, it was that normal. My body automatically did that. And when I would be conscious, I'd be like, put your hand down, put your hand down. I would try everything. Oh my God, I got gloves, and I would tie rubber bands, hair bands around the gloves to keep the gloves on my hand so that I couldn't pull. There were so many things I tried to do to try to make myself not do it. So that was rough. And then they like, you know, recommended different medications, try different things. Well, those didn't work. Nothing worked that they had recommended. And yeah, so that made it way worse because now my mom, what would any parent think? Like if I was a parent and I took my kid and my kid's a teenager and they're doing something I don't understand, I've never heard of, and then I have a doctor look at me and tell me professionally, you know, your child is trying to hurt themselves and she's lying to you about.
She's gonna believe the doctor.
Yeah, sure, she's gonna believe the doctor. She's not gonna believe you. And I think my mom did believe me, but I think she was at war with what to believe about it. Like, and who could blame her? I mean, that's what she was told. So then it became this new level of stop pulling, always being told to stop, which made it even worse because I was just like, you don't think I want to stop? Like, of course I want to stop. And then being told that by a doctor was almost like being like, oh, you're crazy, just so you're aware. And the hair pulling just kept progressing more and more and more. It got so bad that by the time I was 17, I had to start wearing a wig. The worst time, there was like a rock concert that was going on. They, you know, had all these bands come in. And so there's a mosh pit. I was like trying to get up, you know, I was right in the mosh pit like an idiot. I was standing on the outskirts of it and obviously someone knocked into me and it went flying off. I couldn't move. I froze. I just closed my eyes and I stood there. And I just put my hands like this and pretended like I wasn't in the room. And that was what I chose to do at that moment because that was all I could do. So I just stood there like this, and then I felt these arms come get me. And it was this girl, I didn't have a clue who she was. I never met her. She put her arms around me, and then she bent down, she grabbed my wig, and she was like, move, get out of my way. And she was pushing all these people out of the way, and she got me into the back of the front. There were like these little rooms, and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And I just look up at this girl, and her name was Jen.
I was gonna say, who is she?
Her name is Jen. Jen, And
do you know who she is now today?
Yes, Jen.
I mean,
She's actually a hairstylist.
oh my God.
But what an angel. And she's like, I don't know what happened. She goes, I just saw you there and I like had to do something. I had encountered a lot of rude people, a lot of talking and gossiping and threats to knock it off from other girls and things like that. But I hadn't encountered this. And so for the first time I encountered this amazing person with this huge heart, and her reaction to this happening to me was not to point and make fun of and humiliate, but it was to help.
So that one act of kindness
did so much for me. But what should we call him? Tom?
You could call him whatever you want. Yeah, you could just make up a name, okay. Or you could just say if he didn't play a big part.
He plays a huge part. He sexually abused me. Yeah, I remembered feeling just so uncomfortable around him from the beginning, and I could never pinpoint why. Like I felt bad that I felt that way. And when I say uncomfortable, I mean like I felt like I needed to be wearing loose, baggy clothes. I felt like he would check me out. I had these feelings, but then I was like, no, that's wrong. He's not doing that. And I would try to like reason it out of my head.
Right.
Then it went to him like touching me, like touching my butt and things like that. And me being like, okay, I don't feel comfortable with this. And he'd be like, oh, I didn't mean anything by that. And then he'd keep doing it. I remembered feeling strange when I would shower, like I was being watched. I remembered always feeling I was being watched. I never felt safe. I really didn't like him. I mean, I hated how he would talk to my mom, how he'd disrespect her. At church, you know, he had been like part of like the sound team and he was supposed to be this great Christian guy, right? So I believed, and my mom wanted to believe that that's what he was. I was showering and it was nighttime. And I just saw two eyes walked from outside. All I could see were the eyeballs because it was dark. I just saw these eyes and I screamed bloody murder at the top of my lungs.
From where? Where'd you see the eyes?
They were outside.
Outside of the house?
Outside of the house.
Looking through the window.
Looking through the window, watching me shower. So I screamed. I was like, ah! Like I screamed bloody murder. I like jumped. I remember I just like I got down low so you couldn't see me, threw a towel and I started screaming. I ran out and I'm like, Mom, someone is outside. And my mom's like, what? And I go, yes. And I said, where's Johnny? Make him get out there. And she goes, oh, he went outside. It ended up being my brother's, my oldest brother. He was in his face and yelling at him, calling him a pervert, calling him all these kinds of names. And he tried to deny, and then my brother broke him and he snapped. Yeah, and confessed to having watched me in my room, showering.
What was your mom's reaction?
My mom is an amazing mom who has been through a lot and has had her own trauma that she never processed. But she has always done everything she can for us, and I just want I just feel like I need to say that and like really explain that because
if you don't want to put your mom in a bad light, you don't.
No, we've had the discussion. She wanted us to go to church to talk with the pastor. I did want to go because I was like, they're gonna put him in his place and someone's finally gonna do something. That was what I felt. Someone's gonna do something. Unfortunately, that was not the reaction I got when I got there. Now this is fresh and they have him sitting right in front of me.
Wait.
Yeah.
The church?
Yes.
Sat you two down together?
And they wanted me to look at him and say that I forgave him. They wanted me to forgive him, and they said he has an apology. So he looked at me and he goes, sorry. And I just started laughing. I went, oh, you're sorry, like really sarcastically. And I just kind of turned to them and I'm like, you guys, he's sorry. And they're explaining to me that my mom is gonna stay with him. So nobody's doing anything. And I just stood up and I looked at them and I'm like, I don't have to listen to this bullshit anymore. I go, and just so you're aware, and I pointed at him, I go, my boyfriend wants to kick your ass. And I ran out of that church. And when I got outside, my mom chased me and she was crying, and I feel just so bad for the position they put her in, because it was a horrible position they put her in, because she's being told by people that she trusts that you're supposed to forgive this man. So for me, that then sent me through this spiral of then questioning everything I ever was raised to believe in. The people that I thought were supposed to protect me weren't. And so I'm like, how is it not your hair? What do you mean? So she tells me that she has something called early female pattern baldness, and that there's this salon in Tampa that they do hair for women that have hair loss. And she asked me if I wanted to go with her to her next appointment. We go to the next appointment. The owner, Bobby, is sitting there with me, and she looks at me and she's like asking me, could you take your hair off? Can I see what you look like? And I was just crying the whole time trying to get it off. I cried through the whole thing of trying to get it off my head. And I said, I know it's nuts. I said, you've probably never, heard of anything like this, but I pull my hair out and I don't mean to. It's not something I'm trying to do. And I'm explaining this to her, and she just looks at me and she's like, it's called trichotillomania. And I was like, there's a name for this? And she goes, yeah. She's like, this affects millions of people. She goes, I've got about 8 clients that they all have trichotillomania, and they're all about your age. And I was like, what? I just couldn't believe it. She, gives me like this website to look at that had all this information about it. Then she, proceeded to explain to me like what hair replacement is, and goes into like what solutions are that there are that could help me. So that day she told me, this is what it is, this is how much it costs. Well, it costs more than like anything I'd ever heard of in my life. She's telling me I could swim. She's telling me I could dance. She's telling me I can go on roller coasters. I was always a huge adrenaline junkie, and I had been living like a little recluse from fear. Because fear was the definition of my entire life. From 8 on, fear was what defined my life.
So the idea of being able to do all these activities again without having to worry.
Heck,
a second chance.
Yes, I will do whatever I need to do. But I wanted this so bad. My family, my brother ended up helping. Like, he donated, some money to help me get it, and I saved, and I was working my jobs to get it, and then I got enough, and I purchased it, and I got my hair.
What does a hairpiece cost?
At that time, the one that I had was $1,500, but it was well worth every penny. And I can tell you this, when there is something that you want, you will go without whatever to get it. And the first thing I wanted to do was get in the pool. When I went under and I came up and nothing happened, I'm like, that's it, life is awesome. I went skydiving, I was on all the roller coasters I wanted to do. I started to live life again. Confidence that I had before finally was back. It was coming back. I'd wash it, on my head in the shower, so I felt normal again, like I'm shampooing and washing my hair on my head, not in a bowl. So I ended up opening up my own salon in Sarasota that specialized in women's hair loss. And that was incredible. It's been an amazing time through that. Just really growing a lot myself and just getting to connect and meet so many women. I ended up becoming a national educator for a company, an amazing company called Hair You Wear. So I'm one of their educators, and I get to travel, all over, and I get to teach at conferences, men's and women's hair replacement. I ended up going to do a trauma processing therapy. It's called, I think it's EMDR is how you say it. And it uses rapid eye movement to kind of help you process like traumatic things from the past. So glad that I did that, and there's just been so much like healing that's happened, for me through that. It helps with the trick. The main thing, because whether I'm happy or sad, no matter what, I will notice that I'll still want to pull. But I notice now I'm much more aware. That unawareness has really kind of gone away. I kind of write down, I started journaling when I would notice I was pulling, and keeping track and keeping a log of it. I kind of noticed I was doing it more when I was reading, when I was driving. If I was really into a movie, I learned for me, specifically with how I struggle with it, it really helped me to just try to really be aware during those times.
So if somebody's watching this right now and they've been struggling in silence about this, what is one thing you would say to them?
To not give up. Above all, don't give up. That they're perfect as they are. You don't need hair to make you feel perfect. I happen to like to wear hair, but Be who you are and do what makes you feel good. Don't give up on the things that you love. Don't question your worth and your value, because you are loved and you are valued. There's a whole lot of us. You're not alone.